Today in class, we're going to cover the 9.NPA.1.2 content, and this is all about a person's nutritional needs if they have like allergies, athletes. So they're going to be special diets that we're going to talk about today. So we have a PowerPoint to go over, so I'll go ahead and pull that up, and we'll get started. So, like I said, this is how to meet dietary needs for special guidelines, and this specifically we're going to talk about athletes, pregnant women, people with diabetes, and then anybody with an allergy, like food allergy. And of course, what are the special needs and changing requirements? Of course, anybody with food allergies, sports nutrition, pregnancy, diabetes, or having a goal to gain, lose, or maintain a healthy weight. So what are food allergies? First and foremost, they are abnormal response to food triggered by the body's immune system, and the reactions can range from something very mild, like maybe a rash, to something very life-threatening, where their windpipe closes up, they need an EpiPen, they need to get to the hospital because they are unable to breathe and they pass out, and you need to start CPR and all that stuff that we talked about in the last PCH objective. And of course, food allergies generally develop early in life but can develop at any age. So what are the foods that are most commonly causes allergic reactions? A lot of times milk, eggs, peanuts, anything tree nuts, soy, wheat, fish, and shellfish. A lot of times children may be allergic to milk, but they may outgrow the milk, egg, and soy and wheat allergy. But if someone has a food allergy, they are more likely to have asthma and eczema to go along with it. Myth or fact, food allergies are uncommon. Of course, that is a myth. As many as 15 million people in the U.S. have some sort of food allergy, including about 6 million children. The symptoms would be, of course, if you are allergic to a particular food, you may experience some or all of these symptoms. Of course, itching in your mouth or swelling, GI symptoms like vomiting, diarrhea, or abdominal cramps and pain, hives or eczema, tightening of the throat and trouble breathing, and then drop in blood pressure. And of course, planning meals for someone who has a food allergy, of course, because they can be life-threatening, the food needs to be completely avoided. The FDA, of course, requires that ingredients are all listed on food labels. So if you have a food allergy, you definitely want to read the food labels. And of course, most life-threatening allergic reactions occur when eating away from home, because you don't always know what's in your food. So it's very important to tell a restaurant, a waiter, the wait staff what special dietary needs you have. Moving to sports nutrition, of course, good nutrition is a critical component of sports training or any physical activity program. Of course, there is no miracle food or supplement that meets all your nutritional needs. What you eat has a big deal on your performance and your ability to see results. Myth or fact, the more protein you eat, the more muscle you gain. Of course, this is a myth. Muscle tissue is made up of protein, and athletes do need a little bit more protein than non-athletes. But the fact is, you need the vast majority of athletes meet their daily protein needs without even trying, because extra protein beyond what is needed is just, of course, extra calories. And you want to choose lean sources of protein because you don't want the high fat content in it. So what is the best diet for an athlete? Of course, all athletes need a diet that provides energy in the form of carbohydrates and fats, as well as proteins, vitamins, and minerals. 55 to 60% of their calories should come from carbohydrates, and of course you want to make sure these are the complex carbohydrates and not high in sugar. No more than 30% should come from fat, and about 10 to 15% should come from protein. The question is, do athletes need to carb load? Of course, carbohydrate loading is a special technique where you eat large amounts of carbohydrates for several days before, like an endurance or long distance run. The question for most athletes, you do not need to carb load, but just focus on getting enough carbs every day for a variety of sources. But like if somebody's going to run a marathon, a super long distance, or like a triathlon, yes, you're going to want to carb load. But in most cases, you do not need to carb load. Carbohydrates are stored as glycogen in the liver and muscles, and there's usually enough glycogen in the muscles to provide fuel for about 90 to 100 minutes of exercise. And of course, water is a key aspect too. Water helps regulate the body temperature and keeps the body from overheating during exercise. And of course, even when you lose 2% of the body's water, you can hurt your performance. And of course, water is essential for transporting nutrients and energy to the muscles during exercise, and it carries away any waste from the muscles and tissues after the muscle exertion. Myth or fact, it is best to compete in athletic events on an empty stomach. That, of course, is a myth. You want to actually eat about 3 to 4 hours before your activity. That is optimal level. Most research recommends that pregame meals should provide about 500 to 1,000 calories, and you want them high in starch, which breaks down more easily than protein and fats. A starch can be in the form of a complex carb, which is like bread, cold cereals, pasta, fruit, and vegetables, and they are digested at a rate in which it provides constant, persistent energy to your body. And of course, you want to avoid meals high in fat as they take a long time to digest. Of course, make sure you take in enough fluid, because if you get dehydrated, you're going to not perform as well. And of course, for protein, take in small amounts of lean meat, legumes, dried beans, or eggs. So those are just a few examples. And of course, always choose like baked or broiled over fried when, of course, in your diet. Of course, nutrition after exercise. Post-exercise is a lot of time optimal to increase your glycogen stores. And of course, no matter how intense the exercise is, make sure you drink plenty of water and eat a balanced meal that has enough carbohydrates, and they are rich in nutrients like grains, pasta, vegetables, and fruits after you work out. Now moving on to what a pregnant woman would need versus a non-pregnant woman. Of course, a pregnant female needs these increased nutrients. They need more calcium, folic acid, even more calories in their diet, iron, vitamin D, carbs, fiber, and vitamins and minerals. Nutritional changes. Of course, a pregnant woman needs to consume about 300 calories more a day than she did before she was pregnant to support the rapid changing growth of the fetus and the changing body. The expectant mother will need to also increase their amounts of protein to about 75 grams per day, or 25 more than a non-pregnant person. Of course, your good choices for protein would be your lean meats, poultry, fish, dried beans, lentils, nuts, eggs, cheese, which provide protein and supply other nutrients to the body like iron, B vitamins, and trace minerals. Of course, calcium recommendations. It is recommended that during pregnancy, a female gets 1,000 milligrams per day. And then, of course, if a teen pregnancy, it's about 1,300 milligrams. Women who are not pregnant only consume about 75% of their daily requirement. Therefore, most pregnant women need to add calcium-rich foods to their diet. Of course, milk, yogurt, ice milk, frozen yogurt, green leafy vegetables, and calcium-fortified foods such as orange juice, soy milk, bread, and breakfast cereal are good sources of calcium. And then, of course, calcium supplements are advised for women who do not meet their calcium needs through food alone. And of course, vitamin D is important for absorption and the utilization of calcium. So make sure you monitor your vitamin D count as well. And of course, additional iron is needed because of the increased amount of blood volume during pregnancy. And then so you want to get that from enriched whole grain bread, cereal, green leafy vegetables, legumes, eggs, and dried nuts, and iron. And then folic acid is also very important in a pregnant female's diet. It plays a very vital role in the formation of certain major structures of the fetus, and because of its importance, all women of childbearing age should need to take in adequate intake of folic acid. Of course, research suggests that taking folic acid before and during pregnancy can reduce the risk of neural tube defects like spina bifida in infants. And of course, the March of Dimes recommends that a woman who is pregnant should consume a multivitamin containing 400 micrograms of folic acid daily. And of course, because most women in their normal diets do not consume enough. So a good source of folic acid would include green leafy vegetables, legumes, citrus fruits, juices, peanuts, and some fortified breakfast cereals. So myth or fact, people with diabetes cannot have food containing sugar such as candy and desserts. Of course, that is a myth. Current research shows that old beliefs about sugar and diabetics may have been incorrect. Numerous studies show that Candy and sweets do not elevate the blood sugar levels any higher than certain starches such as white bread, white rice, and white potatoes. So people with diabetics can have starches. People with diabetics can have starches, sugars, and sweets, but they have to make sure that they're consumed in moderation and part of a balanced diet. Of course, a dietitian can help determine when to include those foods and when they don't need to be included. Of course, you want to follow a persistent meal plan, eat a balanced diet including fruits, vegetables, whole grains, low-fat dairy products, lean meats, poultry, fish, and meat alternatives, so that helps keep the blood sugar levels steady. And of course, always choose low-fat options and limited saturated fats. Of course, check the nutrition labels. Use sugar in moderation or sugar substitutes, and of course consider any low sugar options when available, and get plenty of fiber in your diet. It is recommended that people eat 20 to 35 grams of fiber per day. Of course, fruits, vegetables, beans, and whole grain foods are good sources of fiber. Drink plenty of water and use less salt. So myth or fact, an eating plan which offers weight reduction over 8 pounds in the first week is a good plan. This gives your metabolism a kickstart. That is a myth. Technically, you only want to gain or lose about a pound a week. Anything more or less, whether it's losing weight or gaining weight, can be very detrimental to your health. Of course, healthy weight loss, once again, healthy weight loss or gain should be about no more or less than 2 pounds per week. And of course, the amount of intake of calories, if you're trying to lose weight, should be less than what you spend. So you want to have more calories expended than consumed. So how that triangle kind of works is, if you want to maintain your weight, you need to balance the intake and consumption. If you want to lose weight, you need to take in less than what you burn. If you want to gain weight, you want to take in more than what you're going to burn. Of course, you want to determine your appropriate calorie intake and base it on your expenditure for your physical exercise and daily physical activity. And of course, have a balanced meal, which is about 60% carbs, 30% fat, and 10 to 15% protein. And limit your LDL cholesterol in the meals that you select. And of course, weight gain, once again, you don't want to gain more than about a pound a week. And here you are still keeping that balanced diet, 60% carbs, less than 30% fat, and 10% protein. And you're just going to increase the amount of caloric intake from healthy food sources to gain healthy weight. That, of course, concludes the PowerPoint. If you have any questions about the material, of course, feel free to let me know, email me, or ask me on Zoom. I'll be glad to help you.